to another video. This time I'm going to be doing a Brand from League of Legends. It's a pretty awesome champion, uses fire, and his lore is pretty interesting. Basically this pirate finds this entity, not really an entity, but like this source of energy, I guess, inside of a cavern, and he is so allured by it that he goes to it and touches it, and this unknown entity named Brand takes over his body and consumes him, and basically he fights in the league. Generally, I think Brand is a pretty cool champion. I like playing him. He's very fun. I haven't played him in a while, but he's definitely fun. But I actually did a video of an earlier version of this probably about a year ago, and I decided I think it's still a pretty good idea, and it's pretty cool to see how far I've come in my progress. So I decided to do this again. So let us begin. I'm gonna try to keep this video short, 12 minutes or so. So let's start it up. Alright, first when I started, I actually had found a reference image, and I had used it for this kind of stance. I wanted to show that he was kind of like flying in the air, but he's being propelled by the fires or the cinders in his hands. So I found this reference on Deviant Art. There's a lot of great references on there. Anything you need, eyes, hands, faces, whatever, you can find it on Deviant Art. So basically, what I do is I started with a pretty large brush and just generally got the gesture down, and then I made a layer on top of that, and basically I'm going over the line right now. I try to stay at this view. I don't really try to zoom in too close at this point, because I'm just trying to get the overall shape of his body down and his gesture, and try to incorporate some more line into this work. Normally when I do paintings and stuff like this, I like to go straight into color, or not really color, but I blacken the silhouette and then slowly sculpt the image out. But I thought this would be good practice on line, since a lot of the League of Legends use line to define their art style. So what I'm now doing is basically still touching it up, trying to figure out how the arms sit on his chest and his shoulders and everything. Not entirely happy, but this pose is looking a lot better than before. Sometimes you can actually see League of Legends pop up. I was actually about to play a game too, and I kept getting messages from my friends as I was doing this. Alright, so what I did, as you can see, is what I did also on the last time. I took that layer that I just created line on, and lowered its opacity down to about 30%, made a new layer on top, and now I'm actually going in and trying to define a little bit more. It's just yeah, the other two layers are just basically scrap layers, and they help me define this actual final layer of line. When I do this, I do about 3 layers of line: 1 for rough, 2 for a little bit more cleanup, and 3 is for final. And as you can see, this is the final, and now the second layer. It's cool too. Sometimes when you have those 3 line layers together, you actually could find happy accidents in them too, because as you go down in level 1 layer, the level 1 line art of the layer, I basically used a really huge brush. The second layer of the line, I used a smaller brush, and the third layer I made an even smaller brush. So when you kind of put those 3 on top of each other, you can kind of find happy accidents in them too. Just a thought. So what I'm doing right here is basically adding a layer on the bottom of it and filling it in with a hard brush, just completely filling out the silhouette. And you're gonna see what I'm gonna do with this later. It helps. I'm gonna use it as a mask. I just say now. I'm just gonna use it as a mask a little bit later, so keep a lookout for that. So I'm basically trying to get his hand placement the way I want it. I could have used a reference for his hands, but I was trying to do this a little bit quicker. But it's always good to use different references. And just basically trying to get his foot make it feel a little bit longer. I thought it was a little short, and it made him seem like a small person, for lack of better words. And so I just defined out the background a little bit, adding a little like soft lighting. Just trying to define it just a tad bit. Alright, see, now this is what I'm doing. What I did was take that fill layer and created a layer on top of that, and what I do is control click, and basically it makes the fill layer a mask. And what you can do is add in these like soft and dark highlights in there without going past that actual fill layer boundary. So all you do is paint into the fill layer. You're not touching anything else but that layer. Alright, so in the fill layer, this is where I start like carving stuff out. And that's why I love that fill layer so much, since you can really get the silhouette down. I'm sorry if I'm going a little bit fast here. This video is sped up a lot. The original video was 28 minutes and I compressed it down to about 12. So everything's going at pretty much lightning speed, and you know, if I miss certain things, sorry. You can ask me in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer your questions. And I'm just going in there, adjusting, trying to define the darks and the highlights a little bit, but not adding too much detail. Just like a lot of people think too, the face is definitely one of the most important features of the body, just because this is where we recognize things. Not only us, but animals do it too, which is pretty interesting. So you know, when you're doing a human or a creature or anything, it's really important to focus on the face, because it's actually one of the focal points that we just naturally tend to look at. Next, it's probably the hands and then the feet. Yeah, there's certain things on the body that if you don't do correctly, it might throw off the image or make it look a little too cartoony, etc., etc. Even now, I still have trouble with hands, but I'm a little bit better than last time, and faces just a bit too. But I'm still learning, just like everybody else. Alright, this is where layers get a little bit crazy. After I basically have the general fill layer, and I could just keep layer masking inside of it, but for some of his actual suit, I'm adding layers on top and just, you know, going into like that. When I do things like this, I like to keep a lot of layers, just in case I mess up on something. You know, I can always just delete that layer and just, you know, start over and keep going. If I flatten all my images, if I keep flattening and stuff like that, I feel that I lose control, and you know, either way I would have to make a lot more save states, and you know, I don't think that's necessary. I just think if you're pretty good at your layers and you know what you want and you keep track of them, then I think you'll be fine. You know, there's so many different ways of doing things, but if you feel comfortable with a lot of layers, then use them. Right here, I didn't like the hand on the other side, so I just copy and pasted it on there. Saving, and the liquefy tool, one of the most useful tools in Photoshop, liquefy. Basically what you're able to do is just like tug and pull different sections of your painting or the layer that you're on, and move it around so you can adjust a lot of things. You can adjust like the shoulders, you know, if you see something off, you can just pull in another direction, fix it a bit. It's really helpful, and I tend to use it a lot. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a general image of like the blast, trying to get an idea of what I want. The background's not as important to me as his face, and I already know what I want to do with it, so I'm not going to focus on it right now. I'm just going to try to get these details down real quick. When I'm working on images, I like to work in black and white for a while, just so I can get my values down. And I think it's easier to transition into color. Not to say that if you start in color that it's bad. I mean, it's different approaches for everything. You know, if you want to get that colorful, high saturation look, then I'd say start in color. You know, because you can do so much with that. But if you're looking for, you know, if you're, but if you don't feel comfortable, I would say, with starting off with color, black and white is also the way to go. You can always overlay colors over it and color balance, and you know, use different tools like that to help you achieve what you want. But either way, there's no problem. I wanted to get his face to be like, maybe he's just like screaming that that the entity, maybe Brand, the entity, just got into the body of the Human Torch from Fantastic Four, so he's just like being bursted with energy, and he's being empowered. So I kind of wanted to give that look like he's just screaming like ah, in a sense. So, and now also I thought it was pretty cool, since the Human Torch can fly already. I thought it'd be pretty awesome to have Brand, say if this was an actual skin in the game, that he would be flying, he would be floating, kind of like Malthazar. Just because he acquired that new power of flight from taking over the body of the Human Torch, and now he has this big B on his chest instead of like the F for the Fantastic. It's a B now for Brand. Alright, just going in, defining a little bit more, adding some more darks. One thing that I tend to do a lot is I added a little bit too many darks, but the way that I go at it is like, if you go in dark, you can always brighten it up later, or vice versa. You could do either way around, but I like to start from a lower value and then work my way up. So I tend to you know, blacken things out, but when I add color to it, I'm really gonna like desaturate or add colors into my shadows a lot more, so it's not just a black color. You never want to have a 100% black in your image, because then it's just not gonna feel like realistic in a sense. So what I did there was basically add a new layer on top, a blue color, and added it to, and made it a color layer. I'm sorry. Since I know his suit's gonna be blue, you know, the color layer is really gonna just help achieve that effect. And this video is now done. It ended actually really quickly. Stay tuned for number 2. It's gonna be out really soon, and I'm pretty sure you guys will enjoy it. Remember, subscribe if you guys like my videos. I'm doing this not only for myself but for you guys. I like to hear your inputs. Leave comments, questions, jokes. I like anything, any type of feedback. I'm always grateful for. And remember, just thumbs up if you like this, share it with your friends, and see you next time.